The vote the council took on the CPA, the Community Preservation Act, was for whether or not to put it on the ballot. It wasn't whether or not you supported it. But people who were against it really put the argument towards that versus putting it on the ballot. I was for definitely letting people vote on it. Basically, the Community Preservation Act, that money can go to housing, parks and recs, things that, historical buildings. And Worcester County pays into this fund since I think it started around 2002, around there. I'm not sure the exact date, but we've lost millions of dollars. We put the most money into that fund, and we get nothing out of it. So it is like there's a fee when you go to the Registry of Deeds. That money it's charged to you. Everybody goes down to the Registry of Deeds, and it all goes into this fund, a certain percentage of it. And I thought it was interesting that we should have that debate. I'd love to see. Who knows? We probably could have saved Notre Dame Church. And it goes to youth programs too. So there's a lot of things you can use it for. Imagine having the funding source where you could take a $1 million loan or $2 million out. And it was interesting, even though some councils voted for it, I think personally some of them were against it. But the opposite was true too. Some people, those councils who voted against it probably go on the ballot and vote for it. So it was an interesting dynamics in this whole vote in the city council.
I understand the intent of that is to have extra money to be able to provide incredible opportunities to preserve our community, to help eliminate some blight in areas and things like that. What bothers me is that we didn't do it long ago and could have gotten full benefit of the larger percentage for reimbursement or matching. But I think it has potential to do some good. We are purchasing open space anyway. The argument is, and so it'd be great to get some matching money to be able to do that since we're already doing it, right? The argument is it's people are looking at it as a tax, another tax. And I think, the small amount that they're talking about, it's not horrible, but it's just another added tax. And so when you get to that point, I think in the end, the people should have the say. I think that we should have done it a long time ago. We're not going to get as much back. I know they increased it. I can't remember exactly how much it is, but I think it's an opportunity. I don't know why we wouldn't have done it a long time ago, but I mean, we've seen things. I mean, I would have loved to have preserved, the church. I would have loved to have preserved some of the other buildings that have had to come down because of they weren't being taken care of, right? That's part of our history, and it's really sad. But there's also only so much money out there.
We set the tax rate every year, and we set the budget, and we hear from many constituents how painful it is to pay more in taxes. And it seems to me that we have to fund a budget. That's the obligation of the city government. We have to set a tax rate. The CPA is basically an extra. And to me, if the people want to pay more in taxes, that should be driven by the people, not by the elected officials. I think the CPA has, there's a shortage of funding for things that are important in every community. And we saw with the controversy over Mount Carmel and unfortunate demolition ongoing with Notre Dame that there is beautiful architectural value in the city that extra funding wouldn't hurt and possibly could help save. But the more you know about the CPA, the more you realize it's more complicated than just historic preservation. Only 30% of it has to go to historic preservation. The other 70% can go to a variety of other issues, one of which is housing, which to me, I never really saw the connection between housing and Community Preservation Act. And we could talk about that now or some other time, but that connection also troubled me. It didn't affect my vote, but I'd like to hear an explanation how those two got bunched together.